Kia ora koutou. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you today on alternatives to closing the boat ramp at Lake Taharoa at Kaiwi Lakes. I'm Libby Jones and I'm here with Pete Hames. We're both locals who have visited and stayed at Kaiwi. We use motorised and non-motorised boats. Nobody can deny we want to avoid the gold clam coming to Kaipara waterways and our beautiful Kaiwi Lakes. We all have the same goal, to keep gold clam out of Northland. This is a long-term national problem, and we have an opportunity now in Kaipara and Northland to set up a long-term prevention solution, not a short-term option, which would only be of limited use. NRC is suggesting closing the boat ramp on Lake Taharoa for power boats only and undertaking education and awareness checks on non-motorised crafts like kayaks and waka. Even in the Waikato, where gold clam has been found, and nearby Bay of Plenty, they are not closing boat ramps for all boats, but are focusing on education and cleaning to minimise risk of transmission. Closing the boat ramp at Lake Taharoa to powered boats will not eliminate the risk of gold clam. It is only a partial mitigation strategy, as gold clam and its larvae can travel in water left in kayaks, on sails of sailboats, on waka armour, on paddle boards, on windsurfers, on fishing gear, on wetsuits, on life jackets, on water toys, or on trailers, as well as motorised boats. The highest risk of gold clam entering the Kaiwi Lakes is from those who use the Waikato River, not from those who don't. So closing the boat ramp to all powered boats would penalise local Northland and Auckland users who have not done anything wrong. Let's begin teaching them now about how to clean and check their watercraft to protect the lakes. If Lake Taharoa is to be closed to powered boats to reduce the risk of gold clam, then all three Kaiwi Lakes would need to be closed to all vessels, powered and non-powered. We don't believe anyone would want that, and that would be very hard to manage. So the current situation out of Northland. Lake Karapiro on the Waikato River is currently infested with gold clam. A large majority of the usage in this area is non-motorised boats, including rowing, dragon boats, waka armour and canoes. Currently, as a response to the Waikato infestation, the 14 Te Arawa lakes in the Bay of Plenty are enforcing a controlled area notice, a CAN, issued by Biosecurity New Zealand, which bans only wakeboard boats with ballast tanks. The CAN states that in addition to the check, clean, dry requirements for any other watercraft, any wakeboard boats with ballast tanks which have been in the controlled area cannot go anywhere else except the controlled area or the ocean. They cannot legally come to Kaiwi Lakes. So what are our suggested solutions? We recommend to extend the current nationwide CAN to prohibit all watercraft, not just the currently banned wake boats, from infected Waikato River entering any of the three Kaiwi Lakes. Set up a suitable cleaning, checking station to be ready for this summer. Research shows that education using positive reinforcement, the carrot approach, enables good biosecurity behaviour rather than the stick approach. Research is also showing that a waterless CD3 machine, which is a solar-powered compressor and commercial vacuum to clean and suck out any residual water, is a very viable and cheap alternative to using a water wash station. An offer has been made by property owners on Kaiwi Lakes Road to fund and operate cleaning checking facility at their place. They have been in touch with KDC to discuss this further. The waterless CD3 machines are not costly to make or run. However, a watercraft cleaning fee with varying fees could be included, if needed, to support the cost of management and monitoring. In our community, there are people who are prepared to pay towards a CD3 type cleaning station, as well as people who could build one. In summary, gold clam is a long-term national problem, and we have an opportunity now in Kaipara and Northland to set up a long-term prevention solution. Banning all powered boats from Lake Taharoa will not eliminate gold clam entering Kaiwi Lakes. We need to act now to have solutions in place before next summer with a suitable CAN, good signage, extensive education, and a cleaning checking station for all watercraft. We've when I say we, there's actually two others of our group who are currently speaking at the Taharoa Domain Governance Committee, because these meetings are at the same time. And we've had communications prior today with NRC staff, Nikki Fitz, Jim Fitzgibbons and Don McKenzie, and we're happy to offer our ongoing input. Ngā mihi.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor, questions?
Yeah, thanks, Libby. Yeah, that's my area. I know that area very well. It's actually Coles Rose. Coles is the only farming family left on that land survey development, and we're the other one on Clear Ridge. So that's what we've got.
You know them well, yeah.
I've talked to Rose about this, and I talked about the banning of the motorised boats, and she very quickly said, "Why just motorised? Why not?" So that's something we can't do. So that's a problem we have. We saw a ban there years ago where they banned the boats from the ski lake.
Correct.
And I was concerned about that, of the effect it would have had on the economy of Darwin, but it's gone. Have you done any work, if the boats were banned, boat ramps were closed, what effect it would have on Kaipara?
Well, I don't know if you remember.
The question sort of double barrel, because it's a camping ground run by KTC, and you were a KTC councillor, so you probably understand that side of it. Yeah. Would it have an effect on a camping ground, or do you think it would end up other people would come without power boats?
It would have an effect on the camping ground and on Dargaville. And you might remember when this was, before the Water Ski Lake was closed, the proposal at that stage was to ban boats completely, and in the end the decision was just to take them off Lake Waikato. So at that time there was a lot of information and research and interviewing of people, surveying of people to see what was the usage of those lakes, what would the boats do, what would that be, the impact on the businesses in Dargaville. And there was, this is a few years ago now, but I don't think it would be much different. There was a lot of concern that it would have a big impact on the Dargaville area. People go to those lakes for all sorts of reasons, but a large number go to use power boats. There is nowhere else that now can happen. And the Northern Wairau River, you can't suggest that's not a place where you would safely take a boat. Otherwise, we're talking the ocean, which, there's dangers of the harbours with that as well. So it would have an impact. It definitely would have an impact. I can't tell you exactly what that is.
Can I just add to that? The statistics show that people with boats coming in are not huge compared to the total visitors, but a lot of people will come in 3 or 4 family groups with one boat, so the 2 or 3 families don't get counted in those statistics, if you know what I'm saying. Quite often there's one boat and an extended family will come quite often for a week or more at the lakes, because it's their annual holiday. It's a big, I'm pretty sure it's a big income earner for that area, in terms of fuel, in terms of food, accommodation, yeah.
But that wouldn't be compensated once it becomes a sailboat only. Like, it'd be a quiet area where a lot of people use cycles and all sorts of things there. But anyway,
and I also think, John, that I understand your questions, and it's a big picture. And regional council have an obligation to look at the economy, the environment, etc. This issue is about the gold clam, and I would be really encouraging to think about the gold clam. That's actually what we're trying to manage now. Yeah. Those other things, they're not irrelevant, but they're not relevant to the decision about whether this boat ramp gets closed to power boats this summer. So I guess that's what I'm just really encouraging you to. Those other things are important, but if the gold clam wasn't there, we wouldn't be talking about them right now, right? There's already things in place to try and manage those any other impacts. So that's what I would encourage.
And as Libby pointed out in the thing, there is a ban on wakeboard boats who have been in the Waikato River. They cannot legally come to the Kaipara. Well, they can come to the Kaipara and go into the ocean. They're not allowed to put their boat into Lake Taharoa. It's illegal. That's the ban. It's a biosecurity New Zealand care that says they can't come here. So it's already there. We just have to enforce it. And I think we need really good signage. We've got a one-way road going out to Kaiui Lakes. We can stop all the traffic if we have to, but we need really good education signage to say, if your boat's been in the Waikato River, turn yourself around. You're not allowed here.
Doesn't that, isn't that part of when you register for the camp? Don't you have to fill out a form to understand all the rules?
Not
prior to coming?
to camping.
Yes.
Yeah, there is there's not much information about that now, and I just went on the website today, and Katie said it's got check, clean, dry, but there's absolutely no information on it about gold clam. There's no information on it about why we would even do that. So there's a lot more that can be done around that management and education.
Got 2 questions from councillors, and then we'll have to wrap it up.
Thank
so
you.
We've got Rick and then
Right,
Marty.
good to see you, Libby. I'm just picking up on your summary, the last 2 paragraphs. The second paragraph was you'd like boats registered. So have you commented on that in the upcoming navigation bylaw review?
No, I have not seen
So
that.
that's closed on the
Okay.
30th. Right?
Mhm.
That's right, closed on the 30th.
Okay, we'll have a look
So
at
that
that.
will be really good to get
Yeah.
your input into that
Okay,
one.
cool.
So I think that's important.
Yeah.
One thought we have added on that, Rick, if I'm allowed, is boat trailers are registered. Boats are currently not registered in New Zealand, but boat trailers are. So if we've got boat trailers coming in, we know their number plate. Presumably they're all registered, they're meant to be. So that is something that we could
They can
get
connect,
a way of possibly helping
connecting with that
that's
site.
the detail.
I
Yeah.
know it's different in every council.
Yeah.
Some boats are named, some trailers are names, but whatever. I think it'd be good to get a uniform
Yeah.
thing. So it'd be good to comment on that.
Cool, thank you.
And the second one, communications with, I may have missed it, but you've got communications here with Nikki and Don and what were the, I don't know if I've seen those. Have we seen those or any comments?
So, Don's here.
Don's here.
I think when we were first looking at this, because there was, the stuff came from in the paper as to who was writing the report. So that's why we got in touch with Nikki. And she said she was writing a letter to Biosecurity New Zealand, which I believe hasn't yet gone. And so there's been, and she also said at one stage, if we wanted to, if it was helpful, then we could be part of a working group or a discussion about it. So we're really open to that. And we've got Colin Rouse and Rose Coles. They, live in the area. They're pretty onto it, knowing what's going on. So we're very happy to do that. I mean, the proposal or the presentation that we gave on the 30th of April to KDC, Nikki has gone through and answered. Don has gone through and answered those questions for us. So that's the sort of communication.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. It's been helpful. It's been very supportive.
Marty.
2 questions. The first one's rhetorical, so it doesn't really invite her or expect an answer. But have you heard the suggestion that it's perhaps either waka arm or dragon boats that brought it to Karapiro, in which case it's a non-powered boat, which leads to the second question. What do you think of the idea of a resident fleet of hire boats, waka, paddleboards and powered boats as well, in order to keep actually no infestation, no chance for infestation?
I think that is worth considering, but I guess take it back a step. Northland people who've got Northland boats, if they've not been to the Waikato, they haven't had any opportunity to be infected with gold clam. So I think that would be more like a plan B or C. I think we can look first of all about Northland, people that are in Northland that haven't taken their boat to the Waikato, which would be probably most of them. And if we do more education about that, then they won't be taking their boats. People love Kaiwi Lakes. They absolutely love it, so people want to, including us, clearly, people want to make sure that it's okay. And we need to know this. We need to know. I've seen a couple of little things in the paper over the time. We get the local Kaipara paper. It's not well advertised or educated. We don't know much about what's going on. We need to know. We found out more, obviously, because this is of interest to us currently. But as general boat users, people don't know. We need to be telling people.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that'll be a plan B, C, or D, or E.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Libby.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Right.
Thanks.
See you later.
Got the bus fare increase. Who was speaking on that? Jody.
Good morning.
Morning, Jody. Now you've got 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Oh, do I just go?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Okay, my bad. Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jody Ramaka. I am 24 years old and I am proudly an advocate for the young people in our community. So I am currently serving as the chair on the Youth Advisory Group for Whangarei District Council. I am also a member of both the Youth Advisory Group for the Ministry of Youth Development and the Whangarei Youth Action Group, among many other roles that I play within the community. You may also know me from my work with NRC, such as the Free Transport During Youth Week campaign and the workshop created to encourage young people to engage with the Future Development Strategy Plan. But today, I'm not really here for any of those roles. I'm here as a regular bus user myself, and to kind of just speak about how the proposed increase in the bus fares will impact our young people. From a very young age, I remember catching the bus with my dad and my siblings to go to school, to do our grocery shoppings, even just to visit friends and family, but even to attend medical appointments. To this day, I still rely on our public transport, but now is to get myself to work, to attend meetings such as this one, and to meet up socially. But there are many people like me that also depend on the bus, and they rely on it as their main form of transport. I understood that even as a child that the financial strain that this put on my family, especially when there were 4 other siblings and we all caught the bus daily. So if we looked at this proposed fare increase and what that means today, if the fares go from $1 to $2 and the average student catches 4 buses a day, that's an average of $8 a day per child, coming to $40 a week. For a family like mine, that would have meant $200 a week just spent on bus fares. That's money that could have gone towards food, rent, our power, or even to see a doctor when we needed it most. If families can't afford this increase, they may be forced to use cars, adding to our existing issue of traffic congestion and the pollution. Or they may have to send their children walking or biking to school. And the reality of that is it's not always the safest option for our children. I don't have the answers, and I acknowledge that this is a complex issue, but I do want to end with saying this. As our elected representatives, you have a responsibility to advocate for our voices and to fight for us. I can't and I won't accept the idea that this is okay. And I won't stand by while decisions are being made that you all know or should know will negatively impact our community. So I ask each of you today to please reconsider our options. Think about the families who depend on the service, the youth who are trying to succeed but are facing consistent barriers such as this one. We are counting on you to do what's right for us, not just what is easy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, open up the floor for questions. Any councillors? To it?
Oh, I don't have any questions. I accept everything that has been presented to us. I think it's consistent with some of those of us who don't agree with taking no action around the bus fare rise. And I really just want to acknowledge you and your community and the youth of Whangarei. I think it is imperative that our council communicate, because you are the biggest users of the bus. And do you think we've communicated the bus fare rise sufficiently to the youth?
No.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's a concern.
We've got a
That's
question.
Yeah, thanks, Jody. It's really good to see you involved in all those groups and really passionate about it. I just wondered if in those other groups you discussed any other, like, we're basically forced to increase this, government said push it up. So have you sort of talked about any other options that in those groups that may help sort of cover this fare increase? Like, I don't know, I thought it may have come up.
No, I have not personally, but it's something that we can look at doing.
We have had a big debate, like Tui said, we've had a huge debate on this and it's come up several times, and we have looked at other options, and I don't think at this stage we've sort of come to the conclusion that we found one option that works. But if you've got any suggestions, I think that would be in your other groups, that would be, because it does affect your group, that would be awesome.
In saying that, am I allowed to ask questions or no? Sorry. Okay. In saying that, are you going to consult with the community before, I don't know if a decision has been made or before it gets released? Or is it going to be released prior to the increase?
No, I don't think we're consulting. We haven't got a consulting package. No.
Kia ora, Chair. No. Previous council has made the decision about it, and yes, we'll need to catch up around how we best communicate that to bus users. But there was no consultation that was undertaken on it, as in it was a direction from the Crown around what the mix of bus fares are. Well, I've got the mic. Thank you for being here and for highlighting the impact of the decision, and something that council needs to reflect on. Council has said that they will monitor the impact of the bus fares and look to advocate back to the minister to see if the Crown will change its position on the fares. But that's where council's got to at the moment, just as a summary.
Yeah, I think we agreed on a 6-monthly review and then a 12-monthly review.
See, Councillor Jones has got his hand up as well, Chair.
Peter Lucas Jones.
O kia ora tātou katoa, tuatahi e mihi ana hau ki a koe Jody. Tēnā koe e haere mai nei ki te kawe I o whakaro, ki te whakatakoto hoki I o whakaro, mō tēnei kaupapa nui. I'd just like to acknowledge that you've shared with us our concerns and key issues around how a significant portion of our community, our young people, will be adversely affected by the decision to increase bus fares. Understanding that there will be a 6-monthly review, if the opportunity became available for someone like yourself to be part of the review process, is that something that would, in your view, help come to some conclusions and recommendations at each of those points of reference? Which essentially would be twice a year, if what we're hearing is correct, that there would be a 6-monthly review.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I think there's a lot of young people out in our community that do want to have a voice in what's, especially in the decisions that are going to impact them the most. So I'll definitely say yes to that.
Okay. Well done. I think we've got Amy online and Rick, who are involved with the youth. Yep, set up. Maybe Amy and Rick, you can communicate through that group.
Absolutely.
Okay. Should we take that as action? All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does that get recorded as an action and an action sheet, please?
Yeah. Okay. Right, room's clear. I'd just like to go back and move the apologies, please. Can I have a move?
Yep.
I'm happy to second that. Kia ora.
All in favour?
Aye.
Okay, against? Okay, received. Okay, we'll just deal with the conflicts of interest as we go through the items. We need a mover and a second for item on page 5.3 on page 10. Confirmation of the minutes.
Moved, Chair.
Move it, Joe.
Yeah, happy to second it.
John. Okay, open for discussion.
Great spot to have a meeting, by the way. Good turnout. And thank you for the staff support.
Right.
2 lunches is perfect.
Okay, Rick, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Okay, received. Okay, if we go on to page 24, the receipt of the action sheet, item 5.4. Can I have a mover for that? Marty?
I'll see you.
And Jack. Okay. Sheet. Is any discussion on that? All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Okay, received. Okay, we go to page 26, item 6.1. Regional rates collection.
I'm happy to move.
Move. Was that you, Jack?
Yeah. I'll see.
Okay, Joe. Okay, let's have Jack. Any discussion?
Oh, I think it doesn't look too bad. It's quite pleasing increase in the collection of arrears. I noticed that every year the actual amount of percentage of current year's rate collected just slightly decreasing, seems to be slightly decreasing over time, but that the three counties seem to be doing their very best in hoovering up the arrears. So the position doesn't look too bad. And I expect in this economic climate, I was kind of expecting the figures to be a little worse than this, actually, to be candid with you.
Yep. Joe, you're second.
No, it's a perennial issue, isn't it? Just
Okay, we've got Simon Crabb here. Would Simon, you like to stand up and discuss any items of needs to be brought to our attention?
I did do a bit of work on this just to see if this trend was going to continue to the end of the year and the impact it would have on our provision. Because technically, or in theory, when you have real income growth, things should start easing. And the national metrics, real income growth is when wage or pay rises exceed inflation. And to the year ending March, wage increases were 2.9% and or inflation was 2.5%. So technically, relief should be out there for households, but that's a national metric, right? So I went back to the district councils and asked them, is this a trend that I'm going to see to the end of the year? And the response is all the same. You know, they're all saying they're still observing continued impact of last year's cost of living increases into this rating years as prices for essential goods and services increase. It's creating challenges for many households. It's far north. The WDC said current year arrears are more than last year in dollars, but less in number of properties. So basically, less people own more. And KDC was very much the same. They said affordability is an issue with increases in the cost of living, including KDC and NRC rates, and there's little we can do to assist if payments aren't made. So I think the trend of this little bit behind, like you say, Councillor Thor, will continue to the end of the year. And when I modelled that on the impact on the provision, so the provision for not rates, well, the budget's 724. The modelling says it's $824.66. So it might be a little bit over budget in terms of putting a provision for uncollectability. Another report will come back Q4 and we'll see how we're tracking. But I think the trend will continue.
So do you have concerns around this?
No, I'd like to have a look at Q4 and see if this in theory metric plays out in Northland. Maybe it's a lag effect, I'm not sure. I think we can accommodate the $100,000 yes out of our year-end surplus year.
Okay, Marty, you had a
Yeah, just a question in 5 and 10 year trends. Okay, were you able to get
Yeah, I can do it.
You'd have it, yeah, so that we know whether it's getting worse or better.
Yeah, I think Councillor Crawl's on the money though. It's like it is getting slowly worse. You know, 0.4% type thing.
Yeah, thanks.
all right. Joe?
yes, I think Simon. Do any of the district councils express a resistance to collect NRC rates for us?
I haven't seen it. I haven't heard it. I don't think so. We meet with them every year and we don't. What's happened, Bruce?
Obligated by law, and they do a job under a contract.
They've got a rating agreement contract.
We pay them to do it.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I know politically it's been discussed, at least in the far north.
I think it comes up with the Far North quite regularly. They did discuss it at one of their council meetings and realised that there was an income for them to collect it, and they decided to carry on without an issue. But it's obviously something must come up each year.
Jeff?
Yeah.
Oh, just briefly, Simon, I'm not sure if you can answer this. Do you know if any of the three councils are actively selling people up for rates of rent?
I think Whangarei is, yeah. Well, not selling them up, putting mortgagee demands on them.
Yeah.
I don't know about selling them up, no.
Mortgagee demands is fine.
Thank you.
Okay, no other, John?
Just one remark on that table, table 1 on page 26. The second last line, total rates arrears outstanding at the end of the sport. Kuiper is actually doing very well because I'm interested in Kuiper, that's where I live, compared to the far north, which is really lagging behind. So we put that down to the Kuiper doesn't have a big population. A lot of those farmers' rates that are probably paying your rates probably more affordable than probably the likes in the towns and cities. Yeah, thank you, Simon. Yeah.
Okay. No other discussions? All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Okay. Item is to be received. Okay, we go to page 28. Item 6.2. Financial report. Okay, we've got Rick and John. Okay, we've got in the room. Yes. Is there any comments you would like to make prior to us going out for discussion?
I'll take the report as read.
Yep.
And it was after the audit was committee
2
weeks ago, and we addressed questions there if there were any. I guess only thing to note is that the surplus is down to 161k this month, and that's a direct result of the MMH dividend not being included. So not collecting on that, so there was no payment. So obviously last month it was 1.5 million, this month is 1.161, direct result of that dividend not coming in as planned. And that's probably the only thing I would note. If there's any other questions.
Okay, all right. Any other questions in the room? Jack?
Yeah, thank you. Just comment on the table 3 at the bottom of page 30. I mean, it's got a nice look to it as far as I'm concerned. Do you anticipate that those figures will change?
Yes. Yep.
Appreciably or a little, or what are we thinking about? But I quite like the trend. I think it's prudent.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay. So the gains that we've just received for April had a $300,000 loss in April, which means total gains for the year to date are $200,000 behind the budget where they should be. So if you look at table 3, I revised it as at now, the top line would be gone.
500.
Behind budget. 536, we're not in front of budget now, we're behind.
Yep.
And we have to find that extra 200 because we're behind by 200, either out of the recap, that 977, or the leftover, the bottom figure, the 794. So that's how it stack up right now, bearing in mind what's happened in the markets for April.
Yep.
Jonathan's saying things are coming back nicely in May, and we have June as well. So things will move, yes. If we look at it as a static point now, it would move, losing the 536 at the top and the 794 probably would go down to 594. Yep.
Okay, but it's a moving target at the
Totally
moment.
moving, yeah.
Yep.
But just an idea of what moves.
Right. Okay.
I think it's a good idea for us to be aware of where we're tending to put these amounts of money. I quite like the trend, especially items 2 and 3, I guess. Thank you.
Okay, Jono, you're the
Kia ora, Chair. Just wanting to highlight to Council Table 3 specifically. Simon presented it to the Audit and Risk Committee as a proposed way forward of any year-end surplus where it would be prioritised in those categories. The numbers, as Simon said, may change. Just wanting to highlight that to councillors and opportunity for you guys to ask Simon any questions or have any kōrero, because this will form the methodology for which we will bring back to you in August once we actually know the year-end surplus as to how it should be allocated. Just double checking it's August, isn't it, Simon, that we come back? Yes. So just wanting to flag that it was discussed at Audit and Risk, and this represents the advice from Audit and Risk to Council as well.
okay. No other discussion? Okay. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Right. Received. Okay. Go to page 34. We've got people in the room. Good to see. Future adoption of the future development strategy for Whangarei, and I know Amy McDonald has been working hard on this, and we've got Ingrid from NRC, who's been a great representation. We've got three recommendations here. Do I have a mover to take all three at once? Okay, Rick. Do I have a seconder? Jeff? Seconder? Okay, open for discussion. Any questions? Amy, you're been a strong advocate and a tireless worker on this strategy. Would you like to have a discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Kia ora koutou. Apologies, I can't be there today. We've been struck down with the flu in this house. I'm okay, but I've got a very unwell child. So, yeah, shame I can't be there because I'm pretty excited that we're going to be moving this, and congratulations that it came through at WDC last week. Yeah, I guess I just want to acknowledge that it's been a really big piece of work. It's taken a lot of time and effort, particularly from our staff, to get this completed. And I think it's been a really good example of sharing of resources. So NRC and WDC, our staff have worked really closely together on this. And also, you know, our councillors have been working together in the working group, also with our members from Te Ruarangi and Te Karearea. So yeah, just acknowledging, I guess, the effort of our staff and all of those members. There was a lot of meetings and a lot of discussion, but I think we all actually got a lot out of it and enjoyed it. Yeah, so I guess all in all, very happy to be at this point. It's a living document, so this is the strategy that we sign off today, but it will continue to develop and be refined over time. And just gives a really good direction for the district as it grows, because we know that growth is coming. And I'm really pleased to see the government come out strong on their desire for this kind of spatial planning and strategic planning to be happening. So I guess I know there are councillors in the room who are keen to see something similar happen for the Far North District and the Kaipara District, and then as a whole region, you know, we can be quite comprehensively prepared for growth. Yeah, so I guess just thank you, and once again acknowledgements to all those who did all the work. There was a, you know, it's a big document, so a huge amount of staff time has gone onto it. Kia ora, thank you.
Okay, I'd just like to get Hamish in the room. You'd like to just stand up and just present how many meetings were involved and how many staff hours were involved to unlock this strategy?
Yeah, firstly, thank you for having Whangarei District Council here. Any questions on the paper itself, we will delegate to Ruben. However, we for the process itself for the working group, the working group itself met on 48 different occasions, and that doesn't take into account of all the public consultations that we have with numerous central government agencies, infrastructure providers, Hapu, Tangata Whenua. And that's only for the governance side of it, in terms of the amount of meetings that we had. Various stakeholders, don't have the figure on me, but it has been a two and a half year process to get up to this point, and it has required significant engagement, but as well as a level of adaptability in terms of central government changes. So as a team, we are incredibly confident that this is going to take Whangarei and frankly Northland, going to take us forward in the future.
Okay, just one question, Hamish. What's your role now that this is completed?
So my role is actually up for debate at the moment at Whangarei District Council. However, I will be an integral part of the implementation of the future development strategy. There are speaking from a Whangarei District Council perspective, there are a number of movements within the organisation that will be required to give effect to the future development strategy. But if you go through the document, you'll see one of the core themes of the strategy is around urban intensification and really the infrastructure that will be required to give effect to that. So it's about ensuring that where we are looking to invest over that medium and longer term is aligned.
Okay, just while we've got Hamish in the room, is there any questions? Okay, Marty.
Yeah, thanks, Hamish, and thanks to the whole team for the huge amount of work that's been done. I just want to have some sort of public assurance that it's not sort of Whangarei in isolation, that it's not a road to Whangarei rather than a road through Whangarei, both in terms of connection with Far North and Kaipara, that they've contributed well to the group, and that, as I say, it's Northland wide with focus on Whangarei rather than focus on Whangarei and going outwards.
Yes, absolutely. And I think what the strategy does do is it really helps to elevate those regional conversations even more. We even thinking about the regional deals. I think there's been a lot of progression in regards to the regional collaboration. And we only see this strategy as being an enabler for those ongoing conversations.
Thank you. Thanks.
Look, I just want to say thanks as well to everybody. I think it could have been me, but I think Jeff, I think you took over from me, or I was
half pint.
Half pint.
Amy did all the heavy lifting.
Thanks, and thanks to Starlight, because there's been a few of these in the past, and this is the first time I think we've collaborated with all the organisations, and I think it's fantastic to see everybody working together. And I can't see this one just disappearing. And I take your comment, Marty, but I believe it's even a blueprint for the rest of the North. So I think it's fantastic that it's happening, and well done on the 2.5 years. Amazing it's been that long.
Okay. No other discussion? Do I have all in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Okay, received. Well done.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Team.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you all.
Go on to item 7.2 on page 134. We've got council deliberations and adoption of user fees and charges policy. We've got 6 recommendations here. Do we want to take all 6 at once?
I'm happy to move all 6.
Okay, so we got Rick and Jack. Any discussion?
I haven't started. I mean, we've discussed this a lot. I think in the past we've done the workshops. I think we're cognizant of the fact that it could be more, but tough times, and I think it's a fair increase, and I think everybody anybody involved with this will understand it as a fair increase. So I don't think we can be any fairer, and I think it's going to assist in the financial side a little bit. So well done, everybody.
Okay, Jack.
Yeah, I'd just like to tell Toko what Rick said. I think I've been really keen for us right from when I first came in here 6 years ago for us to adopt a user pays principle so that we're not subsidising resource consent users and other users of resources that think the activity is being subsidised by the general ratepayer, and we're pretty close to there. So that's a significant change over the last few years, and I think it's enlightened, and I'd like to thank staff's attention to the details around this, and I think I'm very happy with where we are, and I'd also like to note that we only had 2 submissions who both said we should charge more, and one said he didn't want such high charges for hard copies of a regional plan, I think it was, or a document. So I think obviously the ratepayer's happy with where we're heading. So I'm very happy with this document. Thank you.
No other discussion? All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Okay, receive 6 items at once. Okay, we go on to page 185. 7.3, RMA compliance, monitoring and enforcement framework. Got Colin Dahl in the room, and he's got 2 recommendations here. Do I have a mover and a second?
I'm happy about this one as well.
Yeah, second.
And John. Okay, Rick.
No, I'm just, although we haven't discussed it in detail, I mean, it's just a necessary part of moving on, and I think it's the details there, and I've had a read through it. I've spoken to Colin about it a couple of times. There's a lot of detail in there that, as councillors, we perhaps don't understand, but we can ask the questions, and I do feel we've been well informed. So thank you. Thank you to Colin and the team.
Okay, John.
Nothing to add, really, just agree with Rick.
Yep. You agree with Rick? Well, okay. All in favour?
Aye.
No. Against? Okay, received. Receive both items. Recommendations. Okay, we go to 196. minor amendments to the regional pest plan.
Happy to
Item
move.
7. Okay, we got Jack's bouncing out of the room. Jeff will second it.
I'll third it.
Okay, we've got 2 recommendations here that you've moved, Jack, and I've seconded. Any
Yeah, just like to
discussion?
comment, I'd like to congratulate Jenny Dimmock, our staff's consultant on biosecurity, for actually being the person that identified the true nature of the species up there that every taxonomist in the country got wrong. And so there's no blame attached to any staff or anybody really, but some congratulations should go to Jenny for being the person responsible for getting to the truth of the matter, because the difference between the 2 species is very, very tiny, but of course the behaviour of the 2 species is greatly different, massive. So so all we're doing is giving the species in the plan its correct name. So which makes it easy for us to take actions, because at the moment, up till now, we can't. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, we can't. Sorry, we couldn't take actions under the biosecurity rate, with this change.
Marty, you got your hand up?
Yeah, just speaking on behalf of Ian Sizer, who had sleepless nights because of it. He'll be very happy to see this, but he'll be wanting to see that it's well promoted. So there's a sort of a regional awareness quick smart, so farmers can stop it.
I think in the
as soon as
far
it
north,
gets in.
the anxiety of the farmers in the far north is quite large, and it's spreading south.
Yeah.
They actually found 2 plants in the top of Pupui the other day that were removed. So it's either blew there or was transferred by a bird. It's only 2 plants, so invasive. So I don't think we need to linger on this. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Okay, passed. Okay, we go to page 200. Transport Procurement Strategy of 2024-2027. We've got Chris Power in the room. We've got 2 recommendations here. We take both of them together. Do I have a mover for that? We've got Rick and Joe. Okay, Rick.
No, Joe, you move it?
Yep, no, you second it.
Yeah, you second it. Okay, procedural matter, and just like Chris to expand on it.
Okay, Chris, we'd like to.
Chair, I think procurement strategy, if you look at the bottom, page 201 and top of 202, where the legal it defines the legal requirements to have one of these if we wish to continue getting our subsidies.
Yep.
To the land transport management disbursement account. Presently ours at 54%, then anything we procure, we're obliged to do it under strategy, which NZTA have had a good look into. They've approved it. They're quite happy with it. So in for approval from the council.
All good, Rick?
So, yeah, Chris, I think we had that presentation today about the fare increase, and, we are tied down by central government legislation, but I think we've explained that, and I do think this, and if we want to keep what we're doing, we have to follow this, so it's no brainer, but, we're doing what we can, I think, to assist in helping and looking at other options for reducing those fares as well. So thank you.
Okay, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Okay, received. Okay, we go to item 8.1, page 234.
I'll second it.
Okay, I'll move it. Any discussion? Okay, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Passed. Received. Okay, we go to the big one, which is the Chair's report, item 8.2. The Chief Executive report, I should say, not the Chair's report, page 236, by Jonathan Gibbard. Do I have a mover?
Happy to move it.
Okay, John.
Second.
Marty. Any questions here, John?
The one thing that struck me was the wastewater treatment plants that were on through this term, and this is outstanding how this is transferred into today. So to us, how's it? Is it seasonal?
Yep, respond.
I'll start the response, and Colin, please feel free to add to it. I think it's a combination of factors. I think Colin and his team have been going really hard with all 3 councils to really try and keep this front of mind for them and to be a strong regulator. Equally, though, I think there's been, through all of the different local government reform and the focused on 3 orders from central government, I think that the district councils equally have had a focus on it as well. So I think it's a combination of factors, but yes, it is pleasing to see improvements.
Yeah, it's good to see that we're not just going after dairy farmers. It's this is actually far more important, I think, than dairy effluent. So yeah, well done.
Yeah, through the chair, just add to Jocelyn's comments. It's a step in the right direction. Still plenty of work to do, and we are reminding the district councils of that fact. Obviously, in the ideal world, we'd like to paint everything green, but yes, we're trying to be as much green as possible.
Just to follow up, actually, sorry, I forgot before. This was presented to the Audit and Risk Committee, and we do have a deeper dive into this coming up at the next Audit and Risk meeting, just around the state of the different consents, what our approach is, and just to provide an opportunity for governance to have a deeper dive on the consent, the reconsenting, mainly the reconsenting part of the process. Kia ora.
Okay, Marty, did you want
No comments, mate. Just thanks, John.
Yeah, I've just got one from Don. The deer, is that the 2 that we were waiting to kill, or is there 2 more?
It's been an interesting, through you, Mr. Chair, been an interesting development in the last week with that record. The deer pellet survey that was conducted last year, all the genetic analysis has been done on those pellets that were picked up from the ground. We know every individual.
Yeah.
However, this one that was shot just recently was found to be not one on that list. So it is a deer that we hadn't got DNA information from. We've only just learnt that in the last week. It's an unusual, unusual occurrence in this, but we know that that was a deer that was not on the list, a hind. And an old hind who was apparently wandering, at the very edges of the treatment block. So we still have the remaining, one animal now, one hind, sorry,
know of,
and 3 known stags.
Oh, okay, so still 4.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I see in there when do we start on the other areas? Is there a height? Is there an area that we're going to concentrate on next, or around the Dargaville area? I thought was a.
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chair. And there is an update in the CEO report about some of those other areas.
Yep.
Where already started landowner discussions at Katoa around Katoa Airport.
Tangihui, Waihui.
Yes.
Yep.
And Mamananui behind Kaiwi Lakes, Poto area, and as far north as Katoa. And there are other areas such as Mangaka here and Maunganui where we will be moving, within the next 2 years.
Yep. So landowners, there's a lot of them. Yes. How do you communicate to them?
In Katoa, we've sent out a mail drop to, I haven't got the numbers in front of me at the moment, Mr. Chair, but I think it was well over 1,000 people around that area. Immediate neighbours had very positive response.
Yep.
And so it's also through word of mouth, through contact with neighbours and landowners in that area. We've done previous aerial thermal surveys of that area as well, contacting landowners. And we feel that there's a good awareness of what's about to happen in those more populated areas.
Any other discussions? Jack and then John.
Yeah, for Don, page 247, the preparing for avian flu. It's nice to see that MPI's on the ball there. I know we've raised this before. Regional councils have a contract with MPI for supply of services depending on the tier of response required. That was discontinued a number of years ago. Has that been picked up again, or is it still doesn't exist?
No, I'm afraid it doesn't exist any longer. And MPI have more recently, within the last year, cancelled their contract with Assure Quality, who used to deliver a lot of their responses. So that whole kind of response framework has changed quite, we would think, quite significantly.
That presents quite a risk to everybody, doesn't it? I mean, I thought there was an elegant simplicity to the other contract system whereby, like, depending on the response required, council would say, yes, we can supply X number of staff, vehicles, phones, blah, 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 equipment, spray, whatever it was. So we could, both MPI and councils could plan for what would be needed. They said, okay, we've got fruit fly, then Don would know it would be 15 staff tomorrow, whatever the figure was. So we could all plan on that. Now that's disappeared. I worried a lot. I just want to know, Don, if you think it would be worthwhile us, council, approaching MPI, pointing out the advantages of having a system of being better prepared.
I think, through you, Mr. Chair, I think what we've heard from MPI is that they've taken a strategic move to go down the government industry agreements, the GIA agreements. So using the example of fruit fly, they've partnered up with some of the primary industries like kiwi fruit, vine health and so on, to agree to like a response framework with that industry where industry contributes funding. We can certainly inquire about their appetite for, a regional sector agreement. But I think the response that we're going to get is that they're actually forming these partnerships with industry now. And in the case of HPAI, commercial poultry farms and so on. But we could make that inquiry.
Well, I think we should all be applauding the great rollout of industry agreements, and because it's about the Act provides the user pays, and exacerbator pay, and also beneficiaries of any program should pay. So, and they provide both those senses. But what I'm worried about is the kind of incursions that aren't covered by an industry, like anything that could be a threat to native species. And of course, even HPAI would certainly be a threat to native species. So I worry about MPI's focus is purely on reproduction in that case. So there's a whole range of things, including the environment and human health, that may well miss out. So, and it makes no sense at all when you've got organisations like regional councils that have equipment, warrants, expertise, computers and phones and everything needed to assist with incursions. I worry about there being a huge gap in the response system in New Zealand. So I'm just wondering whether that could be raised at CEO level, maybe, Jono, or maybe regional affairs as well. I mean, we don't want to leave it to Don.
Maybe something that we can raise through biomanagers, Don, with the other regional councils, to see what their views are, and again, we'll be more powerful. As a sector.
I think I'd start there, but I may have to go higher as well. I mean, we don't want to leave it on the hands of the staff. This is an important issue.
Just a suggestion, biomanagers, and we can report back to the Biosecurity and Biodiversity Working Party.
Thank you.
It does an action. Okay, Joe?
Yeah, thank you. I was through to Don. Talking about incursions, I'm not sure who's doing it for government, but they do it annually, and they've done it for decades. Mosquito surveys in the coastal areas of far north. What do you know about that? And also, are they reporting results back to this council regularly?
Historically, MPI led a survey and eradication program for a mosquito that had the potential for carrying Ross River virus in New Zealand. But that was very successful. They eliminated that mosquito. Part of that survey was conducted in places like the Kaipara. I understand that surveys for a wide range of insects is ongoing. They do publish a report. We get it about every 6 months on new finds from fruit fly and nationwide survey results, So they'll have traps set in Northland for fruit fly, other insects, and I imagine mosquitoes as well. They don't come directly to this council. but we are made aware of them.
Your concerns with mosquitoes is DGP?
Yeah, sure am, because I owned a property that was annually inspected, and I understand it's still ongoing up there. Is it on the hook here?
Yep, we could certainly find out more about that, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So another action, Don? Okay, any other discussion? John?
I've got a question.
Rick? John and Rick.
Yeah, I heard the mosquito is big enough to just about settle them up, right? I just getting back to the deer and Russell, and I'm hoping that one animal that you've just found, I presume a Sika deer, hasn't been farmed and put in there deliberately by shooters. So that's a concern I have.
No chance of that.
And the other one I have is once you get over towards Maramanui, the Kowi Lakes. I mean, you've got such large, vast areas of steep land with Waipua Forest. Melba Forest, forestry itself goes right through to Twin Bridges, which is getting close to central between both coasts. So yeah, I'd say that had to be a high priority to get rid of it while it's on that relatively easy open country. Thank you.
No other? Oh, Rick.
Yep, I just want to say on the e-newsletters on page 254 that look, I get a couple and I see that at least 50% are opened in all of them. So I think that they're a great document and they keep the people really well informed, and I really enjoy reading them. So I hope we can keep those going. So that's great. I just really want to talk about, I mentioned T2, the T2 lanes coming up. But I see it's a soft launch in June. So it will be good to see how they go. And it's been a long time in the preparation for getting that off the ground. And my last one is the civil defence. Again, congratulate Northern Civil Defence, in particular NRC, on the Civil Defence Forum. It's really successful again this year. Great turnout, interesting presentations, and I think it's definitely locked in for everybody's attendance in the future. And then the new emergency management bill was discussed, and we also had a separate workshop with Graham McDonald convening that, and did great presentations for that, and I think we're looking forward to the bill coming out. So it's been a long time in the coming as well. So thank you, everybody.
No other discussion? Okay. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Okay, received. Okay, go to page 266, item 8.3. We've got Robin in the room. Bruce, maybe Bruce is here, you can take any questions. Okay, do I have a mover and a seconder? It's just receiving the report.
I'm happy to move or second that. Kia ora.
Get Lucas. Okay, any discussion?
Chair.
Yes.
It's encouraging to see all the different colours, whether we've achieved them or not. But I just wonder about in the compliance monitoring where we've got unknown at this stage, what the impact of not achieving the targets is.
Okay, well, we've got Colin in the room here. Colin?
Just for the consent monitoring.
Page 270.
270.
So the target is, sorry. Yeah, so essentially we have programs, individual programs for each resource consent, which we try to achieve each year. Some of that is quite difficult because different priorities and issues come up through the year. So we aim for 90%. If we don't achieve it, we will still obviously try to pick up that work in the next year, or make sure that those consents at risk are monitored. Does that answer you?
Does that answer enough questions? Can you hear, Colin, maybe you can come forward. So can you hear that response?
So you just push it out so that you...
Well, we usually want to make it up before the end of the year, but sometimes we might be scheduled, say, 4 visits a year and only do 3. So that's where we might not achieve 100% or, that fully achieve that work program or dedicated program for that consent. So these programs, tend to be ongoing for a lot of consents. And so there's no, I suppose, there's no significant impact of not making that target, but it's still something we try to aim for and achieve and strive for.
Okay, Gunnar, you had a response.
Kia ora, Colin, just to clarify, if we don't hit it, get all the monitoring done this financial year, would we prioritise those consents at the start of the subsequent year? So basically, these I think your answer. If we do fall behind, those ones are prioritised for the subsequent financial year.
Is there any concerns around this, Colin, going forward? I see you've got staff vacancies and stuff like that. Are we lacking capacity to?
Well, at the moment, the team is under a heavy workload pressure because of these vacancies and other priorities. We do have to divert resources away or try to, as I said, we try to achieve as much as we can. And normally we've had a pretty good track record, but this year it's just been very challenging to ensure or be confident in that target.
How confident you are to meet the target in Q4?
Q4, I think we not likely to.
Yeah.
Giving it a go. We won't miss the target by much.
Okay. Any other? You happy with that response?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions here?
Yep, that's a good question. I hope we don't knock ourselves about too much. Like, for instance, with the red not achieved in oil response at 272, we've always had a minimum of 30 responders, and now that we haven't got the oil refinery, it's being knocked to 20, but we've got a not achieved, and it's probably quite irrelevant not achieved to have in there because we're going down to 20 anyway. So, things like that, pick up on some of those points that you say, Steve, like how relevant is that?
Yeah, I'm not knocking them at all. I think it's great, but I think it's a realistic document that we've got some achieved and some not achieved, and various reasons, rationale behind that.
Yeah, Kia ora, Chair, just to respond to Rick's inquiry. The LPP measures or KPIs are a relatively blunt tool, but they're also an inflexible tool. We can't change them. This one here that you've highlighted, as long as, yes, it's red, but as long as we've got some explanatory text there that explains that, yes, we can't change the measure because it's in the LTP, but I think it's important to provide the explanation like what you've seen here so that ratepayers and yourself as governors understand the context for it as well.
Okay.
I've got a brief question on that then. Can we change those measures at annual plan time, can't we?
You can, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. But I noticed that our eyes are drawn to the red ink. There's no doubt about that.
Exactly.
So that's okay. It means we get to discuss them, and I'm very happy with the explanation given there.
So just as a further question, sort of backing up what Jack says, can something be written in the LTP so that if the goalposts change through, that can't be?
No, because